The worry about Pa and Cecil is driving Ma to distraction. She devours newspapers. Then she sent me and Albert to the library, the new one on the old Temperance Hall site, to go through old newspapers and find out what I could about POWs. Albert came with me and we read this. It doesn't seem to apply to Gloucestershire's, only Dorsetshires, but even so, I was chilled by the reports. For the British and Indian troops, the nightmare begins. On the 6th of May 1916, the Turks began the forced march of the British and Indian prisoners from Kut. Mounted Arab and Kurdish guards prodded over 2,500 British soldiers with rifle butts and whips on the long death march. Starvation, thirst, disease, and exhaustion thinned out the British column. After marching across the desert, the remaining POWs entered prison camps, where they received insufficient food and faced epidemics of dysentery, cholera, and malaria. Many prisoners are simply incarcerated in regular jails with common criminals, without regard for rank or status. Sounds bloody biblical, I said to Albert. No need to blaspheme, Meg Skilling, he said. I noticed when we were reading a lady staring at us. When we left the library, she followed us and walked quickly to catch up. Suddenly, she was by our sides, grabbed hold of Albert's hand and pressed something into it. A white feather. He's not even 16! Albert stopped in his tracks. Well, we both did. He was burning red, but had a sort of half smile on his face. I realised it was because he'd been mistaken for someone much older. I never noticed it before, but he was a bit ripe-like. I took the feather from his hand and ran to catch up with the lady. "Excuse me," I said, "I think you dropped something." The lady looked flabbergasted and tried to pass it back, but I didn't want it. "Use it to tickle your fancy, lady." Proper Maisie I was. People were gawping, and then, in an instant, she turned on her heel and was off. Albert was furious. Said he could fight his own battles and didn't need foolish females interfering. And taking all our bloody jobs. He's struggling to find work, you see, since leaving school. Actually, that's not true. He's struggling to find work where he doesn't have to work alongside women, which he doesn't think is right. And then he stormed off, and I haven't seen him since. And this was... Well, it was before the royal visit, and that was 3 weeks ago, more or less.